A Feminist Guide. Feminism Introduction. Women deserve equality with men in all societal matters. The problem starts when a woman feels bitter about her gender and lashes out against all men. All men aren't bad. Some men want equality. I want women to run the world as in running our governments. I know there are some evil bitches, but I trust them more than I trust men, and I'm a man. Chapter 1. A Feminist Guide 1. The Patriarchy System. Real men respect women as equal, love them, are kind to them and protect them. Violence towards women is due to men's sense of superiority and entitlement instilled in them through patriarchal societies. Men's attitudes come from their family, religion, and society. This bad attitude passes on from generation to generation. Almost everywhere in the world, women are treated as second-class citizens. They might have all the rights by law, but the old boys club still runs everything. The practice of paying a man a dowry and paying for the wedding further aggravates the inferiority of a woman's status by making her seem like a liability. Women are stoned to death for being raped or having sex supposedly to save the honor of her family. On top of that, women are forced to compete with each other in the silent beauty trendy game of who's the most beautiful and trendy in the room, which keeps them from uniting for support and strength. In the Garden of Eden, which is the basis of three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Eve is made to look like the fool who made the paternalistic God angry, whereupon he banished humans out of the perfect life. It's simple. We have to get over patriarchy and the barbarianism of fighting endless wars to live in peace and let everybody be who they really are by nature except for evil people. We shouldn't teach men to be strong and active and women to be passive people waiting to get married. We need total equality. We all have to live as kind, just, ethical and moral people, unlike our warmongering ancestors. Human rights, gender equality, and equal rights are all inalienable rights given to every woman and man by nature. This is the only way to prosper, to use all of our power. We have to fight. When we see injustice, we must fight against it. Gender reconciliation from domination to partnership, Dolores Richter. A look at history. Historians have explored the remnants of ancient tribal living and have concluded that egalitarian cultures existed for a long period of human history. These cultures respected diversity, they honored matter and spirit, women, and life itself. Also, within these cultures there seems to have been no cruelties or wars. Religious images were mainly based on the great goddess, who protected and was a part of all that lived, be it plant, animal or human. The religion of the great goddess was inclusive, honoring life and its origins. The patriarchal revolution began around 7,000 years ago. The patriarchal revolution was a process of expansion, and violence extending over several millennia. Patriarchy attempted to destroy the goddess cultures and their holistic perspective. The new patriarchal religions severed direct contact between the human and divine realms. Nature was seen as soulless, separate from ourselves, a commodity and resource to be exploited. Our sexuality, which in matriarchal times, had been viewed as part of the celebration of life and as an ecstatic aspect of creation, was demonized and privatized. Sent to the hidden realms of society, our sexuality was divided into the permitted and the forbidden. The result of pushing vast parts of our sexual energy underground was a volcanic eruption of aggression against women, nature, and life itself. We need to be aware of this history if we wish to step out of the spiral of violence. Violence grows from suppressed life energies. The demeaning of woman and her role in society is one of the factors that contribute to global violence. By transmuting the great goddess who cared for all her children into the one God who punishes all disobedience, we have lost contact with our compassionate human nature. We have lost touch with the all-embracing quality of love itself. It is time to move from a culture of domination to a culture of partnership, that integrates more feminine qualities like compassion and sharing. Women kept down, even sexually. Males traditionally constructed female sexuality and still do through the direct influence of mass media and pop culture on the formation of the values and choices. How many women color their hair? Who told them to do that, that it would make them sexier and they would have more fun? Nowadays, Girls coming of age in the Western countries are largely liberated, but many of their mothers grew up as second-class citizens who had to fight for equal pay, and right now in many countries, women have very few rights like in the Muslim nations. Feminism, materialism, and frivolity. The sadness of the women's movement is that they don't allow the necessity of love. See, I don't personally trust any revolution where love is not allowed. Maya Angelou, Conversations with Maya Angelou, 1989. Cultural brainwash makes women desperate to be what they're not in order to think they will be loved by doing these things. Feminism originally started out as a good thing for women, to give them the vote and equity in the workplace, but has evolved to a militant order which isn't happy if women choose to be traditional mothers in traditional families, allowing the man to be the symbolic head. Feminists seem to want all women to be single, independent, out there in the world doing something in a strong, loud way which goes against the true spirit of ladylike femininity. You can be strong and capable and still be ladylike at the same time without going overboard to that extreme. Feminists are generally pro-abortion, pro-choice, lesbians, which denies women the free choice as to what they want out of their lives. So to me, feminism has gone way too far, and any woman claiming to be a feminist would be a horrible romantic partner in my view, which is why I stay away from anyone claiming to be one. You can just be you, live your life peacefully without being militant and political about it. It's like some girl somewhere said, the reason I'm not a feminist or don't want to be one is because they don't have any fun. They're always so serious and angry. Who needs that? I have no political agenda. I'm just a free individual. That's how I would want women to be. The archetype of the beautiful woman is the pure, innocent, fair maiden with a sense of true modesty, while the modern world is kinda like a cross between the masculine, in control, successful, advanced happening, college-educated babe full of herself mixed in with frivolous cosmetics commercials and MTV vamps loudly ambitious in the so-called real world. This is feminism, materialism, and frivolity, which is why men in droves are turned off to American babes aka bitches, thinking they're all that, go girl, got it going on, worth it, don't impress me, much like that supposed country western video, which is really a piece of shameless cultural brainwash trash in the guise of cool pop music, or should I say supposedly country music, which is about as real as that so-called pop star's name. After I wrote this piece, I happened to see the movie Legally Blonde on TV, and I laughed to myself thinking, what a piece of phony, exploitive crap, trying to put all these stupid ideas in girls' heads to be highly successful, ambitious career girls and glittery Cosmo girls all at the same time, as she, the character L, said near the end. Girls in the real world try to imitate this formula and then wonder why guys won't go near them. It's because you let that natural, pure, free part of you get brainwashed by all that fake crap out in the world about what it takes to be a cool, successful happening babe, so much that you're now some fake feminist glamour girl living large out of the pages of some frivolous women's magazine, so much that there ain't nothing real, warm, or natural left about you. In the movie, she supposedly rejects the guy she was in love with to go on to be some fabulous, accomplished, independent woman. Hooray, good for you. Too bad it does nothing for you in the romance department. Men don't like girls who think like men, then try to top it off with all this fake glamour crap, the cosmetics, the high fashions, etc. People are generally self-centered, which is cool because it's the true nature of the beast, but many girls are brainwashed into thinking they got the goods, that they're incredible, beautiful, and fantastic, that all guys are lusting over them and they can manipulate them any which way they want. If they can't be pure nice people being themselves, intelligent guys don't care about anything else, namely how cute they think they are, what type of job they have, or how big their fake boobs are, except to use them to get sex then scram. It's like an outer shell of brainwash. Deep inside may be the soft soul of a nice girl covered over by the modern feminist movement, frivolous women's magazines, the aura of so-called supermodels who are really just skinny girls who some dipsticks somewhere defined as the standard of beauty, which is funny to me because I'm attracted to the buxom babe over the anorexic one any day. Men prefer somebody real with some sincere humility and goodness to her, so unless they find somebody with a soft soul untouched by all that crap of the world, they're not really interested unless it's to use the girl for cheap sex then dump her. Point blank, men haven't changed in their choice of women while women have. Men want softness, modesty, femininity, innocence, peace, and vulnerability, a feeling that they can relate to the woman, matter to them, be with them in peace. But the modern trend is independence. I'm all that, worth it, you go girl, feel like a woman, got it going on. Frivolous vanity, and men can't stand these things, which is why they will go after the modest, simple supermarket girl way over the advanced, in control, talkative, intellectual snob who thinks she's all that and wants to be model or pop star or something like that. Beauty contest phony glamour vibe. Women have been brainwashed to be so independent and vain in a phony cutesy way that men move on to the softer, simpler country girl rather than all these advanced babes with their attitudes, high fashions, makeup, colored hair with roots showing through, and their sports cars in their condos, wondering why, if they're so successful, don't men come on to them. It's because you're giving off the cold, bitchy, advanced, I'm all that, trash TV, cutesy cosmetic commercial, feel like a woman sitcom vibe. If a girl can't show traditional values to a guy and acts too cool, the guy might try to have sex with her because he thinks that she must be liberated about casual sex, therefore easy. But guys looking for wives want a soft-spoken, gentle friend, not an independent, ambitious alpha female trying to act cool in a phony way, nor a frivolous sorority-type girl with that phony idealistic liberal exterior acting like she loves the world and wants to save the seals when you know she spends 2 hours every day caking the makeup on, has about $5,000 worth of clothes in her closet, while some homeless guy on the street is barely getting by. That's why I don't buy into all them phony liberals with their idealist causes. If you're wise, you will be real and not try to impress potential lovers with your phony idealism while you're wearing a $400 dress and driving that expensive car. Another one that gets me is these girls who talk as though they're at a literary convention or an academic meeting, trying to impress with their clinical-sounding diatribe. Be real. Speak spontaneously, not like you're dictating text for a frivolous woman's magazine. All guys are hypocrites in the sense that if they think they can get sex, they don't care how bitchy, gold-digging, frivolous or arrogant the girl is, they will play along to try to get laid. If they see a girl dressed sleazy acting like she's all that, they won't respect her but play up to her ego to try to get laid. If they want love, the concept changes drastically. They want somebody who reminds them of their mother, a nice, traditional kind of girl with some modesty, innocence, inner beauty, and virtuosity to her. I know an older 52-year-old girl who's been through hell in life, lived the glamour scene, got divorced a few times, been there, done that, but I'm still attracted to her because no matter what, she still has a little girl inner beauty to her that men need in order to love a woman. It's a kind of vulnerability and inner beauty that knows no bounds. She's not trying to be a hot shot, she's just naturally a nice person, a sweet soul. But then I watch MTV and they got these loud half-naked broads in your face acting like they're all that, and I can't help but think this is what they're promoting as the feminine ideal these days, and all the dumb girls out there imitate it because they think it's cool. It's no wonder why a lot of men go to obscure places looking for a wife. When I see a girl with this nice being herself naturally quality, I'm attracted to her immediately because I sense her inherent niceness. This is what all guys really want. They don't care if you've got 5 academic degrees, some stupid high-profile job somewhere, and wear the latest trendiest clothes. You either got this inner glow or you don't. You can't really train for it. I saw some girl on TV, a self-proclaimed bodybuilder, trying to show her body off, acting all enlightened and cool. Guys might try to screw this type of chick, but they will rarely marry her because she's so cold and outwardly certain of herself. Guys want a solid friend they can feel comfortable with. Even though all guys are sex addicts, in the search for love, they want somebody nice and traditional. They can forego a lot of their sexual minds to be with a nice girl, but the truth is that even though most girls think they're nice, sweet, innocent people, many have been tainted by the world, in particular, tainted by feminism, materialism, and frivolity. A lot of girls these days have pop culture, sorority house, cosmetics commercials, high fashion, preppy, gorgeous minds, which is horrible in the romance department because they're not real people, just manufactured clones trying to be all that. As far as materialism goes, there are just as many alpha females and gold diggers out there as male capitalists, which destroys any semblance of femininity they might have, which ruins any potential for romance. Finally, to top it all off, you either got a lot of clued-out girls living for frivolity as defined by frivolous women's magazines, soap operas, and MTV without any scope of life in the real world, which makes them naive airheads, and then you got all these alpha females trying to flaunt their success and ladiness by trying to act fashionable as defined by lingerie commercials, and it's a big mess. All these self-centered girls acting all trendy thinking they're cool, but it's horrible for guys looking for a truly romantic girl. Why don't you just chuck all the brainwash of the world and strive to be a nice, gentle person as you truly feel in your soul, without trying to be some cool, happening, assertive, trendy bitch full of herself? Don't imitate Tyra, Naomi, Nikki, Ashley, and all them other so-called supermodels out there. They're not special in any real way, just self-centered chicks who got lucky and happened to make a lot of money in the phony business venture called fashion. It seems kinda crass to care about clothes like this when there's so much real need in the world, like the hungry kid down the street or the homeless guy fresh from Ethiopia trying to make his way sleeping in a box on the road, and you're sashaying around flaunting yourself living in some fantasy. Do you think some honorable guy trying to do something with his life is gonna fall for it? You think I'm full of shit? Look around and pick out the noble type men in your area. I'm not talking about guys who are just one-dimensional, capitalist success stories. Most of these guys make horrible husbands. I'm talking about guys who give honest effort at a worthy job somewhere, then go off and live out well-rounded lifestyles. Check out the girls they're married to. They're nice, unpretentious, ladylike people. They ain't feminist, glamour diva bitches trying to imitate some phony Tampax ad or a music video. I rest my case. Modern-day feminism. The way for men to get chicks these days is to act like feminists. Enlightened, stupid guy. A girl has fallen for the lies and bullshit put in front of her via TV/magazine/religion/parents/all corporately/government-sponsored. Girls know better. Jasmine, Sawtooth. Number 1, 1993. Feminism is women having a right to make decisions about their lives. Somebody said the CIA funded Gloria Steinem and Ms. Magazine because it was a revolution they could control and keep the people pacified. The deal with feminism from feminists themselves is that sure, we've come a long way since the 60s, baby, like that Virginia Slims ad with the supposedly cool, sophisticated woman smoking a cool cigarette, but this ad shows the fallacy of modern women in general. They want to be liberated, independent and free, but at the same time, they're victims of vanity and corporate advertising, which puts ideas into their heads about how a cool girl is supposed to act, which is basically to be a beach blonde, cosmetic boobed flake with a high-pitched valley girl voice, following all the fashions, wearing all the makeup, up on the latest trends. Isn't this a contradiction? Liberated, independent women have their own minds, their own style, and are not manipulated by pop culture images, yet everywhere I look I see female pop culture clones trying to imitate one frivolous feminine image out there or another, either the proper, preppy girl, the mainstream pop music girl, or the alternative girl, and then you got the supposed sensible ones either playing out the role of housewife and mother or professional career girl, but where is the truly free, original girl being herself? You're all following the stereotypes the media hence men have created for you. The activist feminists are disgusted at this turn of events, women thinking they have some freedom and independence now, so they get a job, read frivolous women's magazines, buy a bunch of trendy crap, get married, and have kids while on eternal diets, and that's it. They call it settling, that the masses of women in the civilized world simply buy into the capitalist agenda and settle for a paycheck so they can buy lipstick and clothes and think they're happy. Yes indeed, women have come a long way, baby, but not long enough. They are still massively discriminated against and exploited in all kinds of subtle and direct ways in virtually every sector of life. Leave the first world, enter the second world of the former communist regimes and the third and fourth worlds of poor countries, and you'll soon see that women in most of the world still have a long way to go. The battle is not over by far. Some female activists say that what we have nowadays is bimbo feminism, where you have the permission to act like a slut and think you are liberated, but who's the real sucker? Have you been brainwashed into thinking that a cool, liberated woman sashays around like some manufactured pop star in a music video? Is this really cool and liberated, or are you a victim of cultural brainwash? The culture of beauty is a wealth of money for corporations who know that all women are vain, stuck on trying to be beautiful, all will age and gain weight, all are insecure about their looks, thinking there is always something they can improve, and all go up and down on the self-esteem or self-respect scale based on how tight and pretty they feel as opposed to how puffy and average they feel, so it's a no-brainer for the beauty industry. Keep pummeling women with advertising that makes them feel insecure and caters to their vanity, and most women will eat it up. Body image is closely related to facial beauty. Women are on constant diets because all they see is thin, glamorous women on sitcoms and other TV shows, as well as the commercials showing women who have lost 70 pounds on some diet plan and are now so much happier. Men have not been indoctrinated like this. How can you be free and powerful when you're always worried that you're 20 pounds overweight and look chubby, an outward sign of inner failure according to the weight loss industry, who want you to feel deficient so that they can sell you more weight loss products? When you dedicate all your energy to trying to be skinny, you have no energy left to try to do other things in life. The truth is that most women over the age of 30 are chubby. It's the way life is in a capitalist, prosperous world. See yourself as you really are, accept it and move on to other things. This whole beauty thing is largely man's creation, who wants women to be sex objects, to go out in public all made up looking pretty. It's a kind of power men have over women, the power to judge them based on appearance and either build them up with looks and leering or ignore them, which women notice and try to change. Who you are, the way you feel inside, your soul, your essence, your consciousness is not your outer look. It is distinct from that regardless of what it is. One of the reasons I have contempt for the modern definition of the pop culture, liberated women, is the lies that accompany it, like all those stupid shows focusing on makeovers which are silly and portray women as a bunch of stupid, trivial dunces, thinking that a new pair of boobs, a new hairstyle and new clothes changes somebody. It doesn't change anything. You're still you. If you're that flaky that you pretend something like that changes your life, then you're really stupid. True self-respect comes one way only, through an honest, intense release of the positive energy that lives inside of you all the time. When you live like this, then you'll be liberated. As long as you watch those stupid TV shows and buy into all that fake women's psychobabble and all that stupid tabloid gossip crap about celebrity weddings and who's dating who, you'll be as phony, lost, and stupid as the people dishing it out. As long as you're a hostage to your looks, you will not be truly free. The only real free women are the older ones who have gotten past their outer look to be themselves. Everybody else is still stuck on trying to look good. If you want to be free, act like it, live it out, be yourself, do what you really want to do. Don't just follow the definitions of life frivolous women's magazines, cosmetics commercials, and tabloids throw out at you. Have the guts to be who you really are in your soul, then maybe some honorable guy will see a real human being there, not brainwashed by all that crap, and genuinely fall in love with you. My point is clear. You're a willing participant to your own bondage. You're pandering to men and silently competing with other women in the beauty game. As long as you buy into society's definitions of what it means to be a woman, you will be brainwashed and not free. If you have the guts to live your own life, you can, but the problem is that women en masse are their own censors. A lot of guys out there would love to meet free, original girls not brainwashed by all this cosmetic, pop culture stuff, but where are they? The average modern girl has a certain standard of what it means to be a woman gleaned from the media, and if they come across women who don't fit this standard, they castigate them, sneer at them, treat them as outcasts. You're uncool if you don't color your hair, wear nail polish and trendy clothes whilst trying to act sexually free and liberated. It's like these girls on some TV show supposedly telling how they lost their virginity as an educational exercise for the general public, but what it really is self-exploitation, Girls getting on TV because they think they're all liberated and cool because they think that's what society wants of them, so they ramble off some story about how they lost their virginity thinking they're real hip when the truth is that self-respecting people wouldn't do these types of things. They have discretion, restraint, prudence. True ladies are not that crude or in your face. It's simply not cool to flaunt yourself for anybody. Many things are better left for private settings, but in a society of sex-soaked music videos, stupid girls think this is how liberated women are supposed to act, to be out there acting all sexy. The biggest impediment to feminism could be called something like gender role identity, the image of ladyhood that you're brought up to be like, which equates to being nice all the time, don't make waves, don't get angry, don't get assertive, just look pretty and keep your mouth shut unless you're flirting and talking sexy. Many girls have a hard time speaking up for their rights. The primal imperative hasn't changed. Men are bigger than women, more physically powerful, beat them around here and there as with domestic violence, control most of the power out in the workforce and like to intimidate women. Women are afraid of men. That's the law of the jungle. The average man can easily kill the average woman with pure physical strength if he wants to or gets angry enough. This is why feminism can only go so far. You can't stop individual men from doing what they want with women anywhere. Laws can't stop rape, sexual harassment, or domestic violence. They continue to happen all the time. Masculinity as an ideal hasn't changed at all. The masculine man is the man who imposes his will on others, who goes after what he wants and gets it, the sexual conqueror who goes around sleeping with all kinds of girls because he's an alpha male and is entitled to it. There is a silent backlash against feminism from men. It's not an organized movement, just men saying screw all this crap, I will proudly be who I am. Men are acting more one-dimensionally male than ever and are proud of it. Just watch some of them dumb-ass shows on MTV glorifying the stereotypical masculine male. It's like giving all that feminism, political correctness, and corny psychobabble out there the proverbial middle finger, telling them all to go to hell. I'll live my free life like the primal being I am, and since I'm on the top of the heap in society as a male with money, fuck off, get out of my face with your bullshit. This has some roots in the Guy Pride Maxim manifesto from the men's magazine catering to men's base desires, or the reruns of the now defunct Man Show airing on the Comedy Network. The feminist activists congregate in the women's studies departments at universities, coming up with all kinds of anger and venom about the injustices of a patriarchal society, while the average girl can't be bothered as long as she's got enough money to buy those cool jeans and looks reasonably cute, while guys look at the feminists and say what a bunch of lesbians who all look like battle axes. That's why they're really angry, because they're not considered pretty in a world where a woman is defined by her beauty and look. Women still get raped and beat up by husbands in record numbers, fathers routinely try to arrange marriages for their daughters, but the government hardly helps with women's shelters. Pregnant women are still routinely discriminated against in the workplace even though there are laws against it. In the feminist sense, women have the right to choose, but what about the rights of the unborn child? How many women get abortions not because they want them but because someone else has manipulated them into getting one, like boyfriends, husbands, parents, social workers, etc. A true feminist is responsible for her actions. She is enlightened enough to avoid unwanted pregnancies. Women that work outside the home still do most of the housework and the parenting. If you want your husband to do more, you have to speak up and confront him on it. Women still get less pay than men for doing equal work even though it's technically illegal. Women spend at least 60% of all the money spent on consumer goods but still get the worst deals in areas like buying cars and houses, and pay more for clothing, shoes, haircuts, dry cleaning, etc. Why do women supposedly love to shop? Is it cultural brainwash to make you a sucker consumer, endlessly buying a bunch of useless things you don't really need, like a huge wardrobe and home decor? Some people say there is less medical research conducted on women's diseases than on men's diseases, but I don't buy this. Many women are hooked on mental health drugs. This may not be a conspiracy by the mental health drug companies, but it helps show how women en masse feel powerless and take pills to numb their minds. This is not a picture-perfect image of liberated women. All in all, some feminists say there are a few strong women's voices in the limelight and all the other women are off living solitary lives, stuck in the silent beauty competition with each other, trying to match the images they see in advertising on TV. There are no winners or losers in the so-called gender war. Both sides are curious about the other, enjoy their company and want to have fun with them. Women are indoctrinated to be sex objects on one hand, ladies on the other, and men according to the ideals of a new brand of feminism called riot girls, guerrilla girls, or simply girl power. They say live for your own pleasure. If someone is disrespecting you, forget the moral high ground. Give what you get. Take revenge if you must. There is a segment of pop culture that's encouraging the one-dimensional male type of female, kinda like the anti-girl, the wild, tormented, hedonistic girl who does what she wants like a man traditionally does. This was Madonna's image in the early days of her reign as the pop culture queen. I'm a hot, sexy woman who will do what I want like a man does. Middle age put an end to that since she now looks like a generic housewife. Her hot, sexy persona is gone by biology. Everybody ages. It just happens to kill women's value out in the world more so than men. Was that real power she had back then when she acted like a guy in a locker room on the David Letterman show, or was it just a scared, insecure girl with false bravado kinda like the teenage punks you see around everywhere trying to act like men? Is this the modern liberated girl? All those writers whose articles I read back 10 or more years ago proclaiming Madonna as the hip, new liberated girl who men are afraid of must be eating crow by now. Even the young chicks say she's a middle-aged dud and should stay there. Courtney Love shows she can drink and do dope like any guy, then gets sentenced to 18 months in rehab. Björk, the Icelandic pop singer, assaults a journalist and says this is the new way for women, get on with it, do what you want. Is this what the modern-day free woman does, act like a man? What about femininity and ladyhood? Are they archaic concepts gone by the wayside in favor of imitating saucy, loud-mouthed, music video sex vamps as the cool way to be? In a pop culture, capitalist world, I'm inclined to think that as long as the average woman has some money, she'll be happy shopping for new clothes and trying to imitate manufactured pop stars while maintaining some semblance of the conservative values she was raised on about being ladylike like a lady. As far as equality goes, there is no universal truth en masse. It all comes down to the few players every individual is involved with in their neck of the woods. There are good men and women out there and bad men and women. Be selective about the people you want to hang with and be enlightened enough to follow your soul without letting yourself get indoctrinated by all that pop culture, capitalist crap out there. Modern-day Western societies have come about as far as they can in institutionalizing freedom. The rest is up to individuals. A lot of people don't want to be free. They would rather follow societal conventions and be told by corporate advertising who to be. The Middle East, the Muslim religion, the Chinese culture and other third world areas are where the real problems are for women. Good feminists over here should use their energies to help these helpless women the world over get their rights. I would think that that's a better, more constructive use of time rather than simply bashing males just for the sport of it. Cyndi Lauper said girls just wanna have fun. I just wanna have fun with modern-day free girls who wanna have fun with me for a while and not get all bent out of shape with all that feminist psychobabble out there or constantly feel they have to snare some guy for marriage. Just live and take it easy sometimes like men do. Moderate feminism. This article originated from a mother and daughter I know who read this women's section over and told me I was dealing in extremes. Either the feminist bitch, career woman, or the domestic goddess housewife, but there was no middle ground for common sense, women who don't deal in ideologies in their everyday lives, who don't hang around university campuses philosophizing about the evils of men but live normal lives trying for a bit of career success, a bit of love and a bit of family happiness. Without getting too serious about anything. They have the sense to know when somebody is trying to get one over on them because of their gender but don't dwell on being feminist. The doors have been opened for most women's opportunities. They can pretty well do what they want and most women feel this way. They don't feel they have to fight for their rights like they did 30 years ago. The common sense advice for women and for men is to find your own identity first before you get married. You have the freedom and the latitude to do it nowadays, unlike before when the cultural push was for marriage. Don't be a fool for men. Live your own life. Look for a solid guy over a fool who'll promise you the world and not deliver, but you'll fall for anyway because he's a cute bad boy type. Be sensible. You're a volunteer in getting your heart broken by going against your better judgment when picking guys. Years ago, if a guy beat his wife, it was kept hush-hush. Nowadays, you have no reason to take it. Get out. Call the cops. Get some help. You can do what you want, stay single, get married, be a housewife, get a career, etc. Don't be a victim of cultural stereotypes. You can be fat, skinny, cake the makeup on, or be natural. Again, don't let the culture dictate what you do. Take care of your health above all else. If you want to ask a guy out, do it. If you have kids, don't cheat them. Ease up on the career to spend time with them. Don't have kids unless you plan to be a good parent. Pick your life and go with it, generally. Career ambition. Happy housewife. Single broad looking for a good time. Mix of both of them. Trust your intuition. Neither men nor women are exempt from the problems and hassles of life, so prepare for them. The goal for everyone is to be comfortable in their own skin. If you expect to find a guy, don't be a workaholic. If you're a housewife, don't lose your femininity. Dress up, go out on dates with your husband. If you're a single parent and want a new man, keep your sense of femininity about yourself. As a mother, treat your sons and daughters alike. Educate them to be androgynous, a mix of masculine and feminine qualities. Don't put battle axe feminist ideas into your daughter's head. Let her grow up naturally. Be honest with your children. Tell your daughter if she really likes a guy, she can make moves, but at the same time tell her about the double standard that feminism cannot erase, that men want sex, women want love, and that men who sleep around are considered good hunters while women who do it are considered sluts. Women are still guilt-ridden about many things. A sense of feminism should free you from some of these things. Housework is important. If you don't like it, hire a maid. Men want a woman capable in the domestic arts, housework and cooking. If you can't do these, either learn them or compensate with something else. It's a two-way street. There are things men are expected to do too, like make money and do the yard work. If you're a career woman, don't cheat your husband and children. Spend equitable time on them. If you earn your own money, keep it in an account separate from your husband's. Don't live on credit. Either pay cash or do without. This is another form of slavery, to the debtor. Life always has its problems regardless of whether you're a feminist or not. Feminism will not make you a good parent. It takes hard work either way. Try to have fun. Take care of your health regardless of whether you're a feminist or not. Chapter 2. A Feminist Guide to the Radical Feminists /Liberal Feminists. The radical feminists hate men and see them as the enemy. They think that women who work in the sex industry are being exploited and exploiting themselves, but the liberal feminists don't agree with them. Andrea Dworkin, Catherine McKinnon, and Susan Easton are or were radical feminists. I know Andrea Dworkin has passed on. Some extreme radical feminists believe that women are considered inferior to men in a male-dominated society and want the right to be free of sexual violence and sexual exploitation. According to them, the woman's role in a standard heterosexual relationship is one of subservience as mother, housekeeper, and sex object, but the disgrace is that many women willingly sell their souls, so to speak, to adopt these roles so they can live an easy life supported by the breadwinner husband. These feminists want extreme equality for women even in the marital home, with women earning their own money and husbands doing their share of the housework. Some feminists don't even want women to marry men in the traditional way. I suspect that many of these feminists are lesbians who are implicitly anti-male, that is if you're a feminist lesbian as opposed to a lesbian, since plenty of lesbians are okay with guys, they just want to live and let live. Still, other feminists called liberal feminists are kind of like the free spirit ideology. They like sex, sexual exploration, self-pleasuring through various means and sleeping around with multiple partners if that's your personal preference, all in a quest to enjoy their lives without being bound by the box of monogamy and the traditional housewife role. These are the type of girls who might like pornography and S&M because it gives them pleasure, while the radical feminists would say it exploits them, so they're against it. No ifs and buts. Liberal feminists say that if a woman wants to be a prostitute or a stripper, good for her, she can retain her identity and do a job she likes giving men pleasure, while the radical feminists are dead set against any of this, which is why they sometimes ally with the religious right for some causes like the anti-porn crusade, an unlikely duo, lesbian feminists with conservative preachers. Women are their own worst enemies. This rift in the feminist movement has created a chasm so deep there will probably never be a unified women's movement. A reasonable solution is to take the good from each viewpoint. Sure, women don't want to be sexually exploited or abused like the radical feminists want, but at the same time, they want to be free to do whatever they want sexually, and if this means being a whore or a porno star for the thrill they can give to men and to themselves while earning money, so be it, as the liberal feminists say. But the radical feminists will never go for it because it implies the female as a sex object being used by men for sexual gratification, and simply unacceptable to their view of the world. The more I read about radical feminism, the more it seems tied to male bashing, intercourse bashing, lesbian-oriented, and you can rest assured that most radical feminists are ugly, either fat or really skinny, have bad hair and no ladylike social graces. Sex-positive feminism/sexually liberated feminists. The radical feminists preach against women in porn, women portrayed as sex objects, etc. But sex-positive feminism is women who might or might not be in the sex industry saying nevertheless, screw off everyone. Leave me alone to live my life and do what I want for me. If I want to make porn films and sell sexual services to men, that's my business, not some radical feminist's business to tell me it's wrong. Anybody trying to control women's sexuality is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's radical feminists or some men passing laws against strip joints. They should all butt out and mind their own business. Sex-positive feminists are for sex worker rights, sex education in schools, freedom of sexual expression. feministsexcarnival.blogspot.com. Feminism pros. In the old days, a woman's choices were: get married and let a man support you, go to the convent, be a prostitute. Nowadays, this is all gone. Women can do what they want and pay their own way. Thank goddess for feminism. Chicks rule. All men are pigs. There is no greater power in the world than the zest of a postmenopausal woman. Margaret Mead. Gloria Steinem and Helen Gully Brown made their marks through creating Ms. and Cosmopolitan magazines respectively, dedicated to hip, young independent women. In 1967, the anti-male group Scum/Society for Cutting Up Men said they don't need men, not even to have babies. Women are here, they want their rights and won't stop nagging until they get 'em. A part of the extremist Scum manifesto is as follows. Scum exists to overthrow the government, eliminate the money system, institute complete automation and destroy the male sex. It is now technically feasible to reproduce without the aid of males. And to produce females. We must begin immediately to do so. To be male is to be deficient, emotionally limited. Maleness is a deficiency disease and males are emotional cripples. The male is completely egocentric, trapped inside himself, incapable of empathizing or identifying with others. Prior to the institution of automation, to the replacement of men by machines, the male should be of use to the female, wait on her, cater to her slyest whim, obey her every command, be totally subservient to her, exist in perfect obedience to her will. Incidentally, the founder Valerie Solanas shot the eccentric artist Andy Warhol about 6 months after forming Scum. Her viewpoints may have been extreme, but it shows that there is a strong element of anti-male sentiment out there among the female demographic. Warning to all American husbands, the days of male supremacy are numbered. Your wives, victimized and degraded by a double standard in law and custom, have found a new champion. It is now the National Organization for Women, a militant new women's rights movement envisioned as becoming a mass-based pressure group capable of fulfilling the dream of emancipation of womanhood held out by the 19th-century suffragette. National Observer, in response to the creation of NOW, 1966. Two oddly correlated phenomena, the international baby boom and the biology of menopause, will accelerate women's impact on tomorrow. Middle-aged women around the world tend to become much more assertive. With menopause, levels of the estrogens decline, unmasking natural levels of testosterone and other androgens in the female body. Such a critical mass of older women with a tradition of rebellion and independence and a way of making a living has not occurred before in history, writes historian Gerda Lerner. We stand on the doorway of what may become an age of women. Helen Fisher, The First Sex, The Natural Talents of Women and How They Are Changing the World. No matter how much women prefer to lean, to be protected and supported, nor how much men desire to have them do so, they must make the voyage of life alone. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Address to U.S. Congressional Committee on the Judiciary, 1892, titled The Solitude of Self. The young wife and mother, at the head of some establishment with a kind husband to shield her from the adverse winds of life, with wealth, fortune, and position, has a certain harbor of safety, secure against the ordinary ills of life. But to manage a household, have a desirable influence in society, keep her friends and the affections of her husband, train her children and servants well, she must have rare common sense, wisdom, diplomacy, and a knowledge of human nature. To do all this she needs the cardinal virtues and the strong points of character that the most successful sta/testman possesses. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Address to U.S. Congressional Committee on the Judiciary, 1892, titled The Solitude of Self. To keep a house and grounds in good order, purchase every article for daily use, keep the wardrobes of half a dozen human beings in proper trim, take the children to dentists, shoemakers, and different schools, or find teachers at home, altogether made sufficient work to keep one brain busy, as well as all the hands I could impress into the service. Then, too, the novelty of housekeeping had passed away, and much that was once attractive in domestic life was now irksome. Betty Friedan, the feminine mystique. He has made her, if married, in the eye of the law, civilly dead. He has taken from her all right in property, even to the wages she earns. He has so framed the laws of divorce, as to what shall be the proper causes, and in case of separation, to whom the guardianship of the children shall be given, as to be wholly regardless of the happiness of women. The law, in all cases, going upon a false supposition of the supremacy of man, and giving all power into his hands. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott, Declaration of Sentiments, 1848. An English wife may not leave her husband's house. Not only can he sue her for restitution of conjugal rights, but he has a right to enter the house of any friend or relation with whom she may take refuge and carry her away by force. If the wife sue for separation for cruelty, it must be cruelty that endangers life or limb. If her husband take proceedings for a divorce, she is not, in the first instance, allowed to defend herself. She is not represented by attorney, nor permitted to be considered a party to the suit between him and her supposed lover, for damages. If an English wife be guilty of infidelity, her husband can divorce her so as to marry again, but she cannot divorce the husband, a vinculo. However profligate he may be. No law court can divorce in England. A special Act of Parliament annulling the marriage is passed for each case. Caroline Sheridan Norton, Letter to the Queen on Lord Chancellor Cranworth's Marriage and Divorce Bill, 1855. Female antagonism to male authority. I saw an older, tough-looking broad on a Christian talk show say the hardest thing to get over in her walk with the Lord was her antagonism to male authority. She had been brought up like any typical girl in traditional America, that man is king, boss of the universe. Women can get their token equality with some jobs such as teaching and nursing, and token representation in some fields like law, medicine, business, or technology, but they're still outsiders. They will always be outsiders because that's the way the world is structured, patriarchy, or the old boys club as it's called. Men rule. Besides, it's not ladylike for a woman to act ambitious, competitive, strong, too independent, too visionary. First off, these qualities are subtly bred out of you as a child, or at least attempted to be bred out of you by parents, teachers, priests, TV, etc., all putting out an image of ladyhood for you to develop in order to be demure, domestic, don't make waves, which is, in essence, to conform to a certain standard of docility and not do what you really want with your life, unlike men who are encouraged to explore and do whatever they want. In fact, you're not considered a real man if you don't have an independent vision you're going for, but if you're a woman doing this, you're considered weird because you're not off in some powder room somewhere, powdering your nose, reading a frivolous women's magazine and playing with dolls. This is how they keep you down. They show you an endless run of sexy-looking girls on TV shows and in cosmetics commercials, implying that this is what you as a modern, trendy, happening, liberated lady should aspire to be. In school, you're not supposed to try too hard because your job is supposed to be to attract guys, find the best one in the bunch, charm him, marry him, then maybe take on some middle-of-the-road sociable career for a while like teaching, hairstyling, or nursing that's not too ambitious or tied directly into the power structure of the world. But what if all this stuff is not inherent in a girl's true nature? Boys can pretty well do what they want, from computer nerd to bank robber to jock. Even male ballet dancers and figure skaters are left alone if they do the one thing boys are trained to do: shut up, don't talk much, treat your work as an art form and a conquest. Achieve tangible, concrete results in the real world. A girl can't live like this without massive criticism as an oddball, lesbian, unladylike, weirdo, queer. Men control all this. They're the ones in the back rooms creating the silly clothes and silly commercials they will use to sell product to women by selling them a fake image of who they should be, and just about everybody falls for it. Girls fall for it so much that they ostracize other girls who don't fit into this narrow, status quo pop culture image of what it means to be a cool female. Men perpetuate these attitudes with the complicity of the women who live by them while, on the surface, painting themselves as a bunch of one-dimensional dummies that don't really know what's going on in the minds of women, but they're the ones who have indoctrinated most of them to be their staunchest allies by buying into these traditional ideals of femininity, buying into silently competing with each other as to who's the thinnest, most beautiful, trendiest, and wears the most fashionable clothes, and this is what they perceive as their life's purpose and the standard by which they measure themselves by. Then women are trained to make a big deal about their wedding as the most special day of their life, as though it symbolizes that you've reached the zenith of your life's purpose, found a supposedly good man to love you, while men would rather bypass the wedding ceremony and go straight for the honeymoon. What does all this do to the average girl with a brain who thinks for herself and has her own ideas about how to live her life? First off, she will intimidate and alienate virtually everyone, men and women alike. Secondly, she won't get guys, at least not macho men. Macho men see themselves as manly men. They want a nice feminine, ladylike girl the way they were brought up to desire a lady who does something nice like teach grade school or helps disabled kids, not some alpha female in full control like a man who wants to control them, or at least comes off with that vibe. The end result of these independent type girls are two possible outcomes. Repress some of their desires and ambitions, get a man, but generally a weak man they can control. Or they get a good guy, the facade will eventually crack and the guy will leave. These girls will rarely find true love because their hate for men is seething beneath the surface, and most men won't go for it. Be who they really are, in which case they will alienate most people regardless of how sexy and successful they look on the outside. They might get lucky if some guy sees the independence, accepts her for who she is and loves her even with her masculine ways, but my personal opinion of this is that most men, even the enlightened ones, ain't gonna let the female control them and control the relationship. And besides, the average guy looking for a wife wants somebody nice without much ambition in the real world who will be happy taking care of the house, raising kids, maybe working some interesting but not ambitious or stressful job, but that's it, nothing more. No real man wants a wife who's a mover and a shaker out in the world. He wants a wife who will make the kids and him her priority and be happy about it, then hopefully he will return the favor. The woman on the Christian talk show said it was tough to get over her hate for men for all these reasons. She had so much hate that she could barely make love to her husband and tried to take out all her frustration of living in a man's world on him, so she was lucky that he was loving enough to stick with her. Then when she became a Christian, she realized this hate inside of her was wrong, that she should try to love all people, and realized men are victims of having to live by a certain manner of stereotype too. She realized that she should treat all men as individuals and not walk around with this chip on her shoulder about men. She said it was hard, but Jesus had helped her get over it to be more loving and peaceful towards men in general. Misandry, women who hate men / androphobia / reverse sexism. It's easy for a woman to be jealous of a man's bigger, stronger physical size and the opportunities available to him. Some women think they're better than men. The truth is that there are very few extremes. A lot of bitcha feminists end up marrying guys. They can't hate all guys if they marry one. Maybe that's the problem. They feel unloved, so they blame men for their sadness. I read an article that said there is an entire industry around hating men. It's not just feminism. It's female empowerment, independence, vibrators, and romance novels. Misogynists watch naked women in porn movies when they masturbate. Misandrists fantasize about romantic encounters with hunky men, so even though they hate men in general, they will love an alpha male stud who is willing to be their servant and lick their clit the way they like it. Against misandry.blogspot.com. Antimisandry.com. avuisefermen.com/misandry/between-misandry- and misogyny. Misandry.us. misandry-away.blogspot.com. misandryfeminism.blogspot.nl. my-misandry.tumblr.com. Feminism books. Some serious classical books about feminism are Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, 1922, considered the mother and father of feminism. Marilyn French's The Women's Room. Erica Jong's Fear of Flying, 1973. Valerie Solanas' Scum Manifesto, Society for Cutting Up Men, the woman who attempted to kill Andy Warhol, the 60s artist. It's now a feminist classic. Alex Cates Schulman's Memoirs of an Ex-Prom Queen. Sexual Politics by Kate Millett, 1970. Against Our Will by Susan Brown Miller, 1975. Andrea Dworking's Woman Hating, 1974.